It seems that the year 2026 is preparing catastrophic surprises for the Kremlin. While Russian propaganda continues to draw maps of imaginary victories, tectonic shifts are beginning to occur both at the front and deep within Russia's rear. The war has not only finally crossed into Russian territory, it is closing in on the very heart of the country. Military political analysts and Ukraine's top leadership are unanimously declaring that a decisive turning point has been reached in the war, and Putin's main trump card, an endless supply of manpower, no longer works. My name is Evgeny Serov. This is the Glavred channel, and we're getting started. Already by the end of this summer and the beginning of autumn, Ukrainian-made ballistic missiles are ready to fly across Russian territory. And closer to winter, Ukraine will focus directly on Moscow. So why is the huge Russian army reaching a strategic dead end at the front? What exactly are the Ukrainian kill zones where thousands of occupiers are being ground down? And how did it happen that instead of taking Kyiv, the Russians set a shameful record, 1,500 days of unsuccessful assault on a tiny settlement in southern Ukraine?
Good evening. Speaking about the situation on the front line, in the Zaporizhzhia direction, our troops have achieved certain successes in the area of Mala-Tokmachka. There is also fighting on the outskirts of Mala-Tokmachka. There is also fighting in Mala-Tokmachka. Fighting also continues in the area of Mala-Tokmachka. Fighting also continues on the outskirts of Mala-Tokmachka. Fighting also continues for control of Mala-Tokmachka. Our troops also have made small advances in the southeastern part of Mala-Tokmachka. Fighting also continues for the southern part of Mala-Tokmachka. There is also fighting for the southeastern part of Mala-Tokmachka. The assault on Mala-Tokmachka continues. There is progress in the area of Mala-Tokmachka. There is also fighting in the area of Mala-Tokmachka. There is also progress in the area of Mala-Tokmachka. The enemy acknowledges our advance in the area of Mala-Tokmachka. Our troops also liberated Mala-Tokmachka near Orekov yesterday. Today, the Minister of Defense congratulated the units that participated in this. We are also putting pressure in the area of Mala-Tokmachka. There is progress in the area of Mala-Tokmachka, in the area of Orekov, and fighting is also ongoing in the area of Mala-Tokmachka. We also continue to apply pressure in the area of Mala-Tokmachka, in the area of Magdalinovka, and in the area of Mala-Tokmachka, in the area of Magdalinovka, and in the area of Mala-Tokmachka, in the area of Shcherbakov and Mala-Tokmachka, and in the area of Magdalinovka, in the area of Mala-Tokmachka and Shcherbakov.
So what exactly is happening right now? Ukraine's Deputy Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha officially states Russia's human resources are no longer its decisive advantage. Western media are picking up on this thesis and highlight two main indicators of Putin's defeat. Firstly, thanks to regular and massive attacks by Ukrainian drones, the war has become an everyday reality for Russia's rear areas. Secondly, for the first time in a long while, Russia has begun to lose the Ukrainian territories it had captured. Clearly, to lose them. As noted by Alexander Kovalenko, a military political analyst from the Information Resistance Group, Russian forces are completely exhausted. Throughout the entire year 2025, the occupiers acted solely on inertia, relying on the frenzied pace and speed of territorial gains they had achieved back in 2023 and 2024 after the start of the Avdiivka offensive campaign. But now, this momentum has finally come to a halt. So why has the Russian war machine stalled? Kovalenko explains this by pointing to the colossal gap between Putin's fantasies and the reality in the trenches. Putin sets strategic objectives for his generals to capture all of Ukraine, to fully occupy the Donetsk, Zaporizhzhia, and Kherson regions, and finally to resolve the issue with the Luhansk region, which, by the way, they claim to resolve every 6 months, starting back in 2022. But the further these orders from Belousov and Gerasimov travel down the officer chain to the commanders of assault companies, the more these strategic objectives turn into small, frantic tactical actions. In practice, the Grand Imperial Assault boils down to a Russian unit being tasked with capturing a specific bush, a particular tree line, an open field, or simply a ruined village of 15 empty houses. And so, for this tactical meat grinder, the Russian command sends small tactical groups again and again, wave after wave. The result? Well, it's truly shameful for the world's Second Army. Kovalenko cites as an example Ukraine's phenomenal record, 1,500 days defending the village of Mala-Tokmachka, Just think about it. An army with nuclear weapons and billion-dollar budgets has been unable for years to capture a single village in the context of modern high-tech warfare, even with so-called kill zones, that is, pre-sighted and mined areas where Ukrainian artillery and drones destroy everything, all living things. Simply sending people forward no longer works. The occupiers' human resources are not capable of breaking through our defenses without enormous, catastrophic losses. That is precisely why Russia is heading into a complete dead end. Yes, the Russians still have a lot of artillery, although they are losing it at a staggering rate. Yes, they are trying to maintain parity in FPV drones, and they still dominate in the number of guided aerial bombs used. But drones, glide bombs, and artillery by themselves do not capture territory. In the end, it is people who have to go on the attack. And this is where Russia is starting to have huge problems. And while the enemy is running out of steam, Ukraine is preparing its main move. August and September 2026 promise to become the starting point for a new military reality. It is precisely at the end of summer and the beginning of autumn that large-scale use of our Ukrainian ballistic missiles is expected. Our own missile programs are entering the home stretch, and this means that strikes on Russian military targets will become even more devastating. And the Russian air defense, which in reality can't even cope with our drones, will simply capitulate in the face of our missiles. Military analysts predict that the autumn-winter period will be extremely interesting for Moscow. Ukraine will closely target the capital of the aggressor country and its key decision-making centers. Moreover, the situation on the Belarusian border adds to the tension, where the so-called yellow threat code from Belarus is making the occupiers nervous and forcing them to keep their forces constantly on alert. Nevertheless, we must be realistic. Kovalenko frankly warns us that the collapse of the enemy's defenses is a long and difficult road. This will not happen tomorrow, it will not happen in 2 weeks, or even in a couple of months. The expert is not sure that we will actually see the complete collapse of the Russian army this year at all. But the end of Russia's current summer offensive campaign and its obvious lack of results will create ironclad conditions for a systemic failure of the Russian defense. This process has already begun, and we may see its conclusion as early as the end of 2027. But most importantly, Russia has irreversibly lost its offensive potential, and its manpower no longer dictates the terms to us on the battlefield. What do you think about this? Will Ukrainian ballistics change the course of the war in the near future? Share your thoughts in the comments, subscribe to the channel, and like this video. My name is Evgeny Serov. This is the Glavred channel, and I'll see you soon.